freedom of speech. Censorship has become a real problem to our societies, and it's all around us. We are bombarded with a one-dimensional narrative that echoes on all media platforms. If you say it enough times, they will believe it. They give us the illusion of choice by creating all these different outlets with different logos and different charming faces, but it all leads up to the same people at the top. The internet until recently was the only space left for the truth to exist, but now this is being censored more aggressively than ever, and a new concept is created: misinformation.
We're taking a more proactive role in making sure that all of our partners and developers use our services for good. We're very focused on making sure that our recommendations and discovery surfaces aren't highlighting groups where people are repeatedly sharing misinformation or harmful content, and we're working hard to completely remove groups.
Facebook is now being used to organize a lot of these protests to defy social distancing.
We do classify that as harmful misinformation, and we take that down.
Misinformation, as if it's the new terrorism. They convince the public that any information different than their experts could cause danger to us all, however belittling and degrading this notion is for the masses.
We aren't pressured to test for flu, but ER doctors now, my friends that I talk to say, you know, it's interesting, when I'm writing up my death report, I'm being pressured to add COVID. Why is that? Why are we being pressured to add COVID to maybe increase the numbers and make it look a little bit worse than it is? I think so.
Last night, the doctor's video, the one you just saw, was pulled off of YouTube. The only justification for taking it down was that the two physicians on screen had reached different conclusions from the people currently in charge. YouTube and its parent company, Google, have now officially banned dissent. The CEO of YouTube admitted that openly.
But then we also talk about removing information that is problematic. You know, of course, anything that is medically unsubstantiated. So people saying like, take vitamin C, take turmeric, like those are all will cure you. Those are the examples of things that would be a violation of our policy. Anything that would go against World Health Organization recommendations would be a violation of our policy. And so remove is another really important part.
The biggest example is the recent changes to YouTube and other social media platforms following London's Real, Brian Rose and David Icke interview about the coronavirus pandemic. An interview that was taken down by YouTube despite its popularity and millions of hits on the streaming figures. It even leads to changes in broadcast laws by the British broadcast government body, Ofcom.
And if you read the tone of the article, the BBC is implying that they forced YouTube to take down our live stream yesterday with David Icke that went deep into coronavirus, COVID-19, the relationship of that to 5G technology, to vaccines, to the lockdown, to the economic crisis, and to seizing your human rights, whether it could be your location, your data, and even your right to earn an income. And that's what we talked about it yesterday. It was the second largest live stream on YouTube worldwide yesterday. Why is he such a danger to the billions of people around the world? Why is Ofcom here in the UK sanctioning radio stations for talking about any relationship with 5G and coronavirus? We can't even talk about it. Does this sound familiar? Like George Orwell? Like a Nazi state? Does this sound familiar to anybody?
And it's this self-deluded arrogance which goes like this. I am right, therefore anyone who says something different must therefore be wrong, and by definition, because they are wrong and I am right, their freedom of speech to be wrong doesn't need to be taken into account. That's how the mentality goes. What I say is, I don't agree with them, I don't agree with them, I don't agree with them. I do agree with them, but I don't want to silence any of them.
All this because an old man was giving his opinion on what is going on. He was not inciting hatred, but the opposite. Yet David, Brian, and many others have faced the wrath of the mainstream media and the tech giants like Google, LinkedIn and YouTube. Their war relies mainly on the control and manipulation of information. Another issue is the term conspiracy theorist.
Would you describe yourself as a conspiracy theorist?
Well, I look at what officialdom tells us is happening and check it out. And if you can back that up with information, it's not a theory. And there are situations where you think, I think this could be this, or it could be that could be happening, that's a theory. But much of it is backed up by hard factual information. And interestingly, when you look at the dictionary definition of the very word conspiracy, we're drowning in them. One is the action of plotting or conspiring. I mean, that's happening all the time.
Give me an example of a conspiracy.
Well, ironically, we've had George Osborne this week trying to ridicule conspiracies involving the EU by likening them to believing in the Loch Ness Monster.
Another issue is the term conspiracy theorist, which manages to discredit a lot of legitimate issues, at times issues that hold more facts to it than the official version. However, the mainstream media has been very successful in mocking those theories by associating them with individuals that, to be frank, just look batshit crazy, giving the impression that anyone that believes in any alternative theory or even questions the main story is that crazy guy wearing a plastic bag on his head and shouting at pigeons in the street. I don't want to end with an inspirational quote from history about how it is our duty to fight for freedom, but seriously, have a look at their map and ask yourself, do you want to be aging in that society?
אם אהבתם את הסרטון הזה, אתם מוזמנים להצטרף אלינו באתר nowhere, מקום לדעת, בו אנו משתפים איתכם את הסרטונים שיוטיוב, פייסבוק וטוויטר מנסים לצנזר. הצטרפו אלינו בטלגרם ותמכו בנו בפטריון, כדי שנוכל להמשיך ולחזק את הערוץ ולשתף את האמת על הבריאות והעתיד של כולנו.